I just got done streaming Wuthering Waves version 2.8, and I know that the community online is a little bit divided. There are some very contentious opinions circulating, specifically pertaining to certain aspects of the game. I'm not here to call anyone out. I'm of the personal opinion that different people like different things in video games. There's no objective truth when it comes to whether or not something is good or bad. Some people love Wuthering Waves, some people hate it. Some people love Genshin Impact, some people hate it. Some people love and hate Arknights, some people love and hate Azure Lane and Azure Parmelia. The list never ends. It is perfectly fine if you loved version 2.8, and at the same time, it is perfectly fine if you didn't. Me personally, I have enjoyed pretty much every single patch since release of this game. With I think the only two instances that I didn't really enjoy were the fireworks festival thing in 1.x and probably the Chakona story. I was not a fan of her character at all. I think she's the only character in the entirety of the game that I didn't really care for. 2.8 specifically. At the end of 2.7, the whole like Avengers Assemble thing, I thought to myself, man, they're gonna struggle to top this anytime soon. And then they released 2.8. 2.8 was, in my opinion, a masterpiece in a whole other kind of way. This was supposed to be a chill patch, a downtime patch, a patch that kind of segued into 3.0. And they achieved that beautifully. They introduced a character that is going to be very present. I guess she's going to take on like Cardathia's place. So she's going to be a very present form, a very present character in 3.0 and further the 3.x series, because her, no spoilers, but she is very tightly interwoven into the story of the Academy with everything that happened. Now, I loved her character. Her voice actor nailed it. I loved her accent. I loved how she pronounced certain words. I loved her character. Her character was, she wasn't like Galbrina. She wasn't some tough, badass female. She also wasn't weak. She also wasn't stupid, but she wasn't brilliant either. She was a very multifaceted, multi-dimensional character that had a lot to her. When we met her, she was a little bit hardened. And then as we continued to experience more with her, she opened up and she softened. Now, she was alone. If you're watching this video, okay, so there are going to be spoilers. If you're watching this video, I'm assuming you've played through the patch. If you haven't, then you probably want to stop here, or at least stop for a minute while I discuss her character. Her character was broken. Her character was alone. Her character had no one. Her best friend was essentially murdered. She disappeared and was essentially murdered months ago. And she has been fighting for her life every day or every other day since. She's seen the same people perform the same actions in this loop, this depressing, horrifying loop that she is trapped in. And she saw absolutely no way out. And honestly, as someone that was in a very similar situation growing up, and video games were actually my outlet and my escape from a very abusive childhood, I could relate on, I think, a level that most people can't. She was alone. And then Rover appeared, not as a savior. Rover didn't appear as like a babe magnet, there to build a harem, to save the world. No. Rover was pulled in, and Rover appeared as a person. They appeared and they offered to help. They presented Chisa with exactly what she needed. She didn't need a person to save her. She didn't need a person to be the hero. What she needed was someone just to be there. She was lonely and she didn't want to feel alone. I think how intricately they expressed this over the course of the story. As an example, when she referred to Rover as senpai. Now, there were two different meanings behind this. On the one hand, we have a shared history with her. We went to the same academy. I don't mean to interrupt the video, but I need to take a moment here to thank all my incredible patrons over on Patreon whose support continues to allow for me to do regular videos like this every single day on this channel. Thank y'all so much, including our YouTube channel members. You guys mean the world to me. So do you guys as viewers as well. Now, without further ado, let's continue. We have the instance where she respects us as a person because we were there for her and we offered her that sense of camaraderie when she desperately needed it. Senpai is a term used to describe or discern someone of a higher rank, a higher grade than you. So senpai, on the one hand, was a way for her to refer to as essentially an upperclassman because we shared the same academy. Senpai also was a way to discern her respect for us as a person, because we further saw this, I think, like 5 or 10 minutes later in the story, where she had that big moment where she was swept with emotions and overcome with emotions, and Rover just kind of awkwardly smiled, kind of embarrassed because they didn't expect to be labeled as such. I don't think that this at all was romantic. Some people do. Some people are self-inserts and they thought to themselves, yeah, she wants the D. Yes, she does. No, what she wanted was somebody there to share in the misfortune. She wanted someone there to essentially just be present so she wasn't alone. And that buildup in terms of respect was shown over how she expressed herself verbally, how she expressed herself physically. And I think that was just so beautifully told. Now, you can watch my reactions on my stream if you want this. I went into it in, I think, further or deeper detail as it was happening because it was pretty much relevant to exactly what I was thinking and experiencing at the time. But that's just my take on it. I don't think, again, there's necessarily any like objectively wrong take on this, but I think it was. And again, like later on, she mentions that we're all her friend. Like the entire cast of characters that appeared there, she loves her friends and she appreciates her friends, which I think further reinforces the fact that she considers us as one, that this is a platonic relationship and she just appreciates us being there because now she had someone to go through this experience with. And I think that pretty much summarizes the entire story. It was beautiful. It was intricately told. And I don't care what other people have said, what other players have said, what other content creators have said. I don't have any issue with it, but I think that it was beautifully told. And I do not think they could have told that kind of depressing, fractured story any better than they did. Disregarding the story, there wasn't really like a whole lot in terms of combat. There never really is in these. The boss fight was pretty much, you know, you breeze through it. It was easy as hell, and that's fine. The patch overall was what, like 2-3 hours long only, and it didn't have some like overarching villain. So honestly, I didn't expect there to be much combat, and there was, and that was perfectly fine. I thought the area was arguably the most beautiful the game has ever looked. They absolutely pushed their engine to the max when they developed and designed the city of Hanami, and the cherry blossoms, the city, the kind of 3D but also anime, urban, modern fantasy look of that city actually looks better than any upcoming urban game. I think if Wuwa made an open world urban fantasy gacha game, I think Neverness to Everness would be dead on the spot, because it just doesn't hold a candle to what Wuwa just presented to people in this little segmented story. This was stunning. I loved seeing some of the characters come together. Shorekeeper Camellia and her appearance at the end. Buleng, who stole the show, like always. Abby was fucking phenomenal. I love the fact that there was a core cast of characters present, rather than just having you and Chisa and just having, you know, moments with one another and then progressing through the story. They're just having a big climactic battle and then moving on, and then never seeing them again until, you know, again, like another climactic finale at the end of 3.7 or 3.8. I love the fact that the characters had so much more personality. Shorekeeper, because I mean, hell, we saw Shorekeeper for, I feel like, the first time in a long time, like an entire like series of major patches, as a more focal point of the story. I was genuinely surprised that the NPCs had so much personality. That one NPC where he was talking about how he just desperately wanted to go home because he promised his grandmother that he would watch TV with her when he got home, and then he said that his grandmother was probably out looking for him, and then he started freaking out, and then he essentially just like deteriorated on the spot. That was depressing. This patch I thought was just going to be a small filler patch that led into 3.0. No, this one set up the entirety of 3.0, but it also delivered us a character, what is arguably one of the best looking characters in the game, while also being one of the best designed in terms of story and characters in the game. This patch was phenomenally done. The only thing I genuinely had an issue with in the entirety of the patch was Nami Pong. God, how slowly she spoke just irritated me to no end. But that is it. That is my only singular complaint in the entirety of the patch. Otherwise, I would have given this a 9.5 out of 10. This is one of the three best patches in the entire game. The three best patches are 1.1 with Mount Firmament, 2.2, which was the patch where you fought Fleur-de-Lis, and then Cardathia came plummeting out of the sky, and then this, 2.8. And then I'd say probably 2.7 is number 4, because just how beautifully this was told and structured. I mean, there's nothing else I can say without coming off as overglazing. And I know I'm already going to get accused of that, but I just can't help it. It was just, to me, personally, just that good. I have very high expectations going into 3.0 now. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No, instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment, so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you're not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.